Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lego Rebel. And I'm Vic. And this is my assistant Vic. And there's also Roger, who is currently manning the camera. Hi. Now in today's episode, we are going to show you some more custom fantasy minifigures. Now, in case you haven't watched any of our other videos, you should know that a while ago, we made some custom Ninjago fantasy minifigures, which were basically just some minifigures that could be in some fantasy realm in Ninjago. And hey, there's 16 realms there that have all merged and collided, so there might be a couple fantasy-esque minifigures in there, you know? But since I may or may not have been having a hard time coming up with a build this week, I decided to make some minifigures instead, since I feel like I do a pretty good job at that. And the ones I'm about to show you today, I feel like they are pretty good as far as minifigures go. So I guess, without further ado, I'll stop talking about this and start talking about the minifigures. Now, the first minifigure in today's lineup is this assassin-esque minifigure. Now, for this minifigure, I got Ahsoka's torso and legs based off of the Ahsoka series, and the hairpiece, headpiece, and tailpiece all come off of the Tiefling Sorcerer from the Dungeons & Dragons minifigure series. And for good measure, I gave her 2 silver katanas, as well as the skybound shoulder pad piece from Ninjago. I think that one technically came in the Lego Ninjago movie Kai minifigure, but I felt like it fit here. And while the tail kind of interferes, sorry, having a hard time talking today, but the tail does technically interfere with the second sword being put in there. It kind of blocks it from going in there. But I feel like I still did do a pretty good job. And I also do like the sort of Asian-esque aesthetic that I was able to incorporate into this minifigure. Now the next minifigure is a bit of a funny one. You see, I was toying around trying to make some good minifigures, and I found the Hamster Costume fan from Series 27. And I thought, what if there was a race of anthropomorphic hamster people in some fantasy realm, and they're basically like an Ewok and a Gremlin and a Kakamora from Moana had a baby. And that's how this came into existence. I gave the Hamster Barbarian, essentially, some dark tan legs, because, come on, he's gotta have pants. The torso and the costume headpiece thing off of the Hamster Costume fan, and a black head since I didn't have a better piece to put there, as well as a spiked shoulder pad off of Weequay Star Wars Space Pirate, if I'm hopefully pronouncing that correctly. And I also gave him 2 bone swords from a Ninjago core set, because I wanted to really show how barbaric he was. And while he does have access to iron, he doesn't want to use that. He wants to show off the bones of his enemies that he used to make his sword or something. Or maybe he just bought them from some wandering trader or something. Who knows? But overall, I really do like this minifigure, even though he was more of a joke one that I thought would be funny. Now the next minifigure in today's lineup is this custom Ranger-esque minifigure. Fun fact, all the parts on the actual minifigure himself all come from the Dungeons & Dragons minifigure series, minus the accessories, of course. They came from different things. But the legs and the headpiece both came off of the Elf Bard minifigure from the D&D series. The torso came off of the Aarakocra Ranger, again from the D&D series. And the hood and cloak piece came from the Halfling Druid minifigure. And I think you can guess where he came from. And I also decided to give him a crossbow and the new wolf piece that came in series 27. The crossbow is because, if Minecraft has taught me anything, it's that crossbows are better than bows and arrows apparently. And the wolf, is this an excuse to show that I actually got the wolf pack minifigure? Yes, it is. And I wanted to prove that with this wolf, and also, come on, it's just so cool. It's a wolf. While most people would be getting the minifigure for the actual minifigure parts, I'm getting the minifigure for the wolves. Because guess what? I like wolves, and there's nothing you can do about it. But back to the point, I really do like how I was able to make this minifigure using only pieces from the D&D series. And while, unfortunately, I'm not the first person to do the torso and leg combo, someone beat me to it, I do not think anyone else has tried to do this with these minifigure parts. Knock on wood. And that's about all for this minifigure. Now the next minifigure is who I am calling Zeno Warrior Princess. And if you're wondering if any of the other characters have names, the hamster guy does, and his name is Archibald. But back to this minifigure, the legs and the skirt piece come off of the Pirate Quartermaster from Series 27. I honestly wanted an excuse to use that skirt piece because it's just so cool. And the torso piece comes off of Echo from the second Marvel minifigure series, believe it or not. And the head and hair piece both come off of the Elf Bard from the D&D series. And if you're wondering why I used Echo's torso, I was trying to find a torso piece that had a skin tone that matched with the Elf Bards, and Echo's was one of the ones that I found. And I thought it looked cool and kind of gave her a Zeno Warrior Princess vibe. Or Warrior Princess, I guess, since I'm pretty sure that's more sci-fi. But still, I still feel like I was able to incorporate a pretty cool look into this minifigure. And I'm actually surprised I was able to find a good leg piece since most of my dark red leg pieces are just that, plain boring dark red leg pieces. But I also decided to give her a golden trident, since for some reason I can't find my silver spear piece. But overall, I really do like the warrior princess vibe I was able to give to this minifigure, even though she probably looks nothing like a typical princess. And before we head on to the next minifigure, I just wanted to give you a side view of her skirt piece. It has a bit of a tattered look, and I did think it looked pretty good with the minifigure, even though it's the wrong red. But come on, it just looks so cool with the rest of the minifigure, at least in my opinion. You might have a different opinion. But I guess now on to the final minifigure. Now the final minifigure in today's lineup is this Bookkeeper-esque minifigure. Now for some reason, when people saw the Mind Flare minifigure, they automatically thought he was evil. Probably because in the D&D lore, he's technically evil, as well as the fact that the minifigure guide labeled him as such. But still, I felt like that was making a false assumption based on his appearance, and I did not like that. So, I decided to give him a bit of a more friendly appearance that was less menacing. So, for this minifigure, I was inspired a bit by Hagrid from Harry Potter, as well as Mr. Ateep from the Wingfeather Saga. If you don't know who Mr. Ateep is, well, he's basically a jolly, a bit eccentric, I guess, bookkeeper who is a friend of Janitor Wingfeather, formerly Janitor Iggaby, and he goes with the Wingfeather family to try and stop the big, bad, evil Nag the Nameless. It's a whole thing. I haven't actually finished the books yet, but yes, I am a Wingfeather fan. There's nothing you can do about it, and I will be a nerd about it as much as I want. Thank you very much. And if you're that curious about it, you can just Google it, I guess. They'll probably give you a better explanation than me. But back to the minifigure, I gave him some dark gray and black dual molded legs The torso is from the Elf Bard minifigure from, again, D&D minifigure series. I felt like it had a bit of a Bookkeeper vibe to it, as well as the Mind Flayer's head, again from the D&D series. And for accessories, I gave him Hedwig the Owl from Harry Potter, as well as a dark red book from the 27th series of minifigures and coming with the Boogeyman, believe it or not. It had a bit of a children's scary story vibe, and I thought it might fit. And I imagine for this minifigure, the little kids around the town might spread tales about him being evil or sucking children who go into his bookstore into the actual tales themselves or something. Kind of like the scary guy from Home Alone whose name I forget. But in reality, he's a pretty nice guy and not actually trying to eat children, despite what everyone thinks. Here's what the front of the book looks like, and you can also see the dual molded legs that I gave him. If you're trying to find those anywhere, I think they are on some versions of the Spider-Man Miles Morales, at least the version with the hoodie. And if you're wondering why I decided to give him an owl, I wanted to give him a pet, and a dragon seemed a bit too on the nose, like that new baby dragon mold. So I thought an owl was the best next thing. Plus, it does kind of fit with his color scheme and all. And if you think that those legs don't look the best with the torso, I don't really blame you. I don't think they look the best either. But I still feel like they do mix with the minifigure pretty well, given the fact none of the other legs were looking good. And overall, this is probably one of my favorites in the series for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. Well, those are the figs. Please consider to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace out.